What's up, everybody? Byron here from ETA, here with the tabletop review on the Shadow Systems CR920XP Elite. Obviously, the pistol is cleared. We are going to talk about this pistol, how it shoots. I am 650 rounds into a 1,000-round review on this pistol, and already I've ordered 2 more magazines in a holster because this gun is not leaving my armory. I like it a lot. We're going to talk about who this gun is for. We're going to talk about why does this gun exist, because believe it or not, that's kind of interesting. If I can get this thing to focus on me. Oh, there we go. All right. So we're going to talk about who this gun is for, why you should consider it, who might not be a fan of it, and just in general, kind of sort of why does it exist? Because it is a little bit of a weird model, even for Shadow. What is its closest competitor, and how does it stack up against its closest competitor? Well, let's get into it. First off, it takes apart like any other Glock because it essentially is a Glock. It is what it is. Okay. This just happens to be one of the final forms of a G48, not the G43X, the G48 size format and recipe. Comes with 2 15-round magazines. I wish it came with 3. Shadow, I get it. These are proprietary magazines, although for what it's worth, an FN Reflex 15-round magazine will fit, although not well, and it will semi-reliably cycle and run the gun. Would I ever try to carry this gun with an FN Reflex magazine in it? Hell no. Let's just knock out the basic features first. It's got a rail. It's got an optics mount, obviously. I have a Holosun 507 on here. It's a 507K. It is the red version. I don't know why people ask weird questions. I'm giving you good answers, okay? The sights are a blacked out rear, which I like a lot. The night fusion dot on the front, which hopefully you can see here. I hope that came out. If not, it is a green self-illuminating tritium dot. This sight on this gun works amazing. They are steel sights. You don't have to worry about breaking them like you would with a polymer sight, i.e. a stock Glock 48. It has enhanced texturing over the Glock 48 or the 43X. It has a slightly, and I do mean slightly, reshaped undercut so that you can get a higher grip on it. It has a very slightly flared out magazine release. As far as I can tell, it has the same overall slide lock lever as what's on my G48. It's actually just a hair smaller, but no complaints because it functions well even with my big old hands. The big hands is part of the reason that this pistol exists. What else comes in the box? Well, it comes with a chamber flag, and it comes with a Glock Armorer's tool, or their version of a Glock Armorer's tool. So it is flared at the bottom, and it has a very nice shelf which gives you a full firing grip on the pistol. Something I had to achieve with the G48 by adding a Suarez magwell. By the way, if you own a G48, you owe it to yourself to buy this magwell. It will probably be the second best modification you do to the pistol. And you owe it to yourself to get you a nice talon grip or handle-it grip or something to that effect, just so you have some proper texture. I don't feel the need to increase the texture on this anywhere whatsoever other than what Shadow has already put on the gun. The only thing I'd like to see Shadow do is put a little bit of that texturing down here on the bottom, simply because it gives you one more point to lock into when you're firing. Now, this gun, if you're not careful with your grip, and you have big hands like me, will demand a blood sacrifice from you. I'll go ahead and throw a photo in, I don't know, here, maybe, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. You can see I'm still recovering from my raspberries. Now, that being said, even though it's cutting your flesh and making you bleed, it is not at all unpleasant to shoot. And I know that it's a very strange statement to state that. But part of the problem I have is when I transition. So I was doing the final shots of the M&P 2.0 Carry Compact and then transitioning over to this. So my first range day session with this, I did get a little kiss here or there, but not bad, okay? And by the way, if you've ever fired a freaking Browning high power, this is a far better kiss than what the Browning high power will do to you. Matter of fact, if you've ever fired a GI Spec 1911, this is far less painful than what you get from Hammerbite on a government-sized 1911 or Browning high power pistol, for the record. Also, my G48 gives me kisses too. I have big ass hands, but as you can see, I can really get on this pistol when I'm firing. Okay, so if you like Glocks and you like Glock 48 size pistols, you'll probably love this thing. It's got some nice upgrades. Again, the texturing, it's got a very nice rail system if you intend to hang a light off of it. I do not intend to hang a light off of this pistol because I don't see the point for a carry gun. You can try to convert me all you want in the comments below. Tell me I'm an idiot. I don't care. This optics mounting system is nice because it accommodates a variety of different optic footprints. It comes with a very nice spacer setup, and it's less of it's I don't even want to call it a spacer, guys. I want to call this a compression fitting, because you essentially, when you install the optic, it actually puts a little pressure on the body or the frame of the optic. So when you get it all torqued in, it just kind of keeps it nicely in position, which reduces the stress on the screws, which reduces the chance of your optic failing. You don't have to have a plate which can fail. It's a direct mounted optic. Kudos to Shadow. They actually give you the screws. Glock doesn't. Smith & Wesson doesn't. Smith, I'm looking at you. Is this more out of the box than a Glock 48 MOS? Yes, it is. Can't beat around the bush. Now, if you notice, it has a very different grip angle than the Glock 48. It's not a hugely different grip angle. Maybe this will convey it a little better so I can show you here versus here. The Glock is slightly more blocky, I guess. I'll go with blocky. However, you can actually slightly compress the magwell on the Glock. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I've had the gun for 2 years, thousands and thousands of rounds. Never been a problem. You can't do that with the Shadow. Is that Shadow superiority? No, just a slightly different material selection, a slightly different. It's a very subtle difference, but it is a difference. It is more rounded, it is less blocky, and absolutely, like, the texturing is everywhere, and they have done a phenomenal job. When you wedge in your support hand, you are locked in on this gun, man. Even under heavy recoil, even under rapid firing, it just stays where it needs to stay. And this compensator, we're going to talk about this compensator. Oh, yes, we are. Because this compensator is very, very effective. It irritates me when I see a YouTube reviewer go, "Oh my God, it's a flat shooting pistol." Scotch, I'm looking at you. You do great reviews, by the way. This is not a flat shooting pistol. It is, however, a very neutral shooting pistol. So it's physics, right? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So when you pull the trigger and it goes bang, you have a recoil impulse. This takes the gases, directs it to the sides and up, very much like the Shield Plus carry comp, although this is quite a bit bigger of a port than the Shield Plus carry comp. It does effectively redistribute the gas, which helps to keep the gun not flat, but level and on target. Will you notice this slow fire? Yes, kind of. I would say it's about a 20 to 25% reduction in overall perceived recoil. But if you guys are buying this gun thinking that you're going to have a magically recoil-free pistol, I'm very sorry to tell you that no, in fact you won't, and you will in fact be very disappointed by this. I don't like to hype guns, and I'm doing my very best not to hype this one. I am almost as excited about this gun as I am about its most direct competitor, which in my opinion is the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus Performance Center carry comp. Just so you can see the difference in the compensator. compared to that. And let's talk about that beautifully fluted barrel, by the way. Isn't that pretty? I did not willingly choose the copper barrel over the black barrel. I purchased this particular pistol through the Patriot Plus, the Patriot Plus pricing. So I was able to pick this up at a very significant discount, and I have no complaints. But when you order it that way, you're limited to whatever colors they have in stock. They didn't have the all black one, which is the one that I would have actually chose. And I had to go with the copper colored barrel, and no complaints from me whatsoever, because as gaudy as this looks on film and in some of the photos, it actually looks really, really sharp in person. And because it's pretty much just limited to the barrel, it's just right. So it's a nice little splash of color, okay? Now, as per YouTube, I'm not allowed to show you how to take this pistol apart, even though what I am about to do is considered general maintenance and cleaning of the firearm. I'm gonna go ahead and drop it down, and I'm gonna do this. I will tell you that if you've ever taken a Glock apart, there's nothing. Make sure the firearm's clear, fire it. You will unlock it as you would any other Glock firearm. Slide the frame off. There's your recoil spring. Here's your barrel and compensator. This is a toolless compensator. And after you get, I'd say, 300 or 400 rounds, you can very easily remove the compensator with thumb pressure. However, the first time you remove this compensator, you're probably going to want a plastic hammer. Now let's get a look at the barrel. Isn't that cool? So it's not a thread-on compensator. It actually attaches via a very innovative camming method, which hopefully you can see here. So it just kind of locks on to the barrel, and the end of the recoil spring here holds it very firmly in place. So you don't need any additional pinning or anything else. It clamps on and is locked into place. It's flush fitting, so if you do choose to remove this, you'll have a little bit sticking out, which is no different than if you had a threaded barrel. But there are states that exist, and this is why the system exists, by the way. There are states in which you cannot own a threaded barrel on a pistol. This is a workaround because this is not threaded. And one could almost argue that it is built in. Clicks on like so, and then it locks in place. It's not very difficult to remove. It's not very difficult to put back together. However, couple of key points. If you keep your guns clean, like I do, I clean them after every range session, you'll find that getting the carbon out of these slotted sections to be a little bit of a nightmare. And you'll find that, just look at that port. Hopefully you can see that. The nice thing about the port is it's designed, again, much like the carry comp. It allows pressure to equalize here before it exits the port. So what that means is you've got a consistent pressure behind the bullet as it's leaving the muzzle and before it gets a pressure drop. So velocity loss with this design is very minimal. I don't have a chronometer. If you're in Huntsville, Alabama, you want to do some shooting and you have a chronometer, hit me up. We'll go out to the range. We'll have some fun. If you want to try it out, we'll try it out. We'll use your chronometer and we'll get hard data to back up my claim. The next range video where I take this thing to 1,000 rounds, I'm actually going to shoot it and I'm going to show you the difference with the compensator on and the compensator off so you can see how big of a recoil difference it is. I won't call it a staggering difference, especially for slow fire. Where you'll really notice it is when you're getting into your follow-up shots. which is the whole point of having a compensator on your pistol. A lot of the YouTubers are yelling, hooting, hollering, and screaming and going, oh my God, it totally deletes recoil. No, it doesn't. It doesn't, guys. It really doesn't. There's still recoil. I assure you, it's still a thing. Go ahead and put this back together real quick. Just kind of, once you get it in the little sweet spot, it just kind of pops right on. I'm able to do this without actually looking at it. See, I'm still making eye contact with you. What's up? Ta-da! I do have to look here because I got to line up the rails. Ta-da! Now, we're going to talk about the trigger. Because if you go into the Shadow Systems forums, you find people crying and lamenting over this trigger. Guys, this is a carry gun. Look. You get your standard amount of slop and a super crispy, super clean break. And I will go out on a limb and say that is the best reset on a carry gun on the market with a factory trigger. Just listen to this. Audible, tactile, almost violent, actually, when the trigger resets. Watch this. It just about throws my finger forward, but as you can see, pull the trigger, you're right there at the wall. There's no rolling brake. You have your take up and you're on the wall. Bang. Reset right there. Bang. How does this gun stack up against the Shield Plus carry comp? This, in my opinion, is the direct competitor for this pistol. Factory, compensated, ported carry gun. Well, I would be lying if I didn't say I shoot this gun better, because I do. Even with iron sights, I shoot this gun better. Does that mean that this gun is superior to this? No. This is a great choice if you are looking for your entry to dip your toe into your first carry gun. This is a great choice. This has been almost 100% reliable from the box. A couple of hiccups in the very beginning, absolutely nothing since the 200 round point. 15 round, relatively flush fitting magazines. You do not need to add a magazine well. You do not have to do additional texturing. You do not have to mill it for an optic. It has all of these things. And if you choose not to run it with an optic, which, by the way, this optic, fun fact, after I get to 1,000 rounds, it's coming off. Because it's a very nice setup with the factory sights. And these factory sights are very easy to shoot. One of the benefits is a slightly reduced recoil impulse. It is not what I will call a flat shooting gun. Again, I will call it a very neutral gun because it counteracts the recoil force. And it simply allows you to get back on target that much faster and that much quicker and that much cleaner. This is a very, very, very fast shooting gun. If you want to go fast and you need to go fast, you can accurately, confidently, and positively shoot this pistol. Next time I go to the range, I'm going to do some bill drills and I'm going to compare the Shield Plus to the Shadow. Feel in the hand. This feels better in my hand than this does. However, ergonomically, This feels better with a 13-round magazine than this does with a 15-round magazine. Comparing again the two, this is the smallest possible footprint that you can get. A little bit of a difference in grip, right? If I had to choose between this or this as my first carry gun, simply for the overall versatility and the ease in which I can shoot the pistols, I would choose the Shield over the Shadow. However, if I was shooting all day at the range, I would choose the Shadow over the Smith, which means at some point I'm going to eclipse my ability to shoot the Shield Plus with my ability to shoot this. I ran about 300 rounds through this yesterday in one sitting, other than the 100 and so rounds that I had to run through the M&P to get it up to 1,000 rounds. The compact. This gun, in my opinion, shoots better than the compact. And this gun is capable of some very incredible accuracy, as is this one. This takes a little bit more work, but when you get there and you get to where you're consistent with the gun, you may find yourself preferring the Shadow. If I had to choose between the two, I'll really tell you that push comes to shove, they're identical in terms of how the trigger feels. They both have great triggers. Yes, let me be the first YouTube channel to say the CR920XP has a great trigger. Because it does, although it is a slightly heavier trigger. That reset, on point, positive. The break, perfect. Yes, it's a little bit more but you can really shoot this thing quickly. And when you're on it at the range and you're doing a rapid fire, you'll find that this actually does a little bit better rapid fire than this does, at least for me. But I'm more consistently accurate with this currently than I am with this, even with an optic. I actually shoot this gun a little better with the iron sights. And these iron sights, again, are excellent. They're steel. They have a cocking shelf. You can cock this off a table. You can cock it off a boot. You can cock it off a belt. You can do whatever you need to do with it. And obviously, if you have an optic, you can just grab it by the optic and run it. I will tell you about the trigger on this pistol. When you pull it out of the box, you might be in the I hate my Shadow Systems trigger camp. You have to dry fire the pistol. You have to shoot the pistol. Don't judge the trigger until you get about 500 rounds to this gun, because that's where it really just kind of comes to life. And yes, the trigger pull in fact gets lighter as your round count goes up to a certain point. I will honestly say that this has gone down almost a pound. So this is a very consistent, and again, I'm going to get a trigger pull gauge to quantify this, but this is a very consistent 4.5 pound trigger, which is great for a concealed carry gun. It is. You're not entering the danger zone with the ultralight trigger on this gun. The pull is crisp, reset is positive, tactile, even with your muffs on, even if you have foamies and your muffs on, you can hear and feel and appreciate that return. Excellent, excellent, excellent trigger. This comes in at a significantly higher price point than this does. But here's the advantage. This opens up the entire Glock ecosystem to you, with the exception of the magazines. Okay? This uses Glock 48 MOS holsters. This uses any of the RMSC footprints And some of the other footprints that I simply don't recognize those footprints because I've never done a lot of research on the different optics footprints. Okay. You can put a much larger optic on this gun if you need to. However, you will lose your ability to co-witness the sights, which hopefully y'all can tell. These co-witness much nicer than my CR920 War Poet. If I had to choose one thing to complain about with this pistol, it would be slide bite. If the frame itself were just ever so slightly wider, it would force my thumb into a much better position. However, that can be overcome with training. And again, when I transition from shooting this to the M&P 2.0 full size, or compact, I should say, I find that I get more slide bite than if I start on this. So if this was the only gun I was shooting at the range that day, I wouldn't have an issue with slide bite. It's still there. In that photo, if you look at the red streak on the bottom of the pistol, that red streak is all me. Proprietary mags, that's a con. They're cheap. They're $28. I won't tell you that you can use every Glock 48 holster known to man. Let me rephrase that. Any Glock 48 MOS holster known to man for this gun. Because I will tell you that I tried several 48 MOS holsters that it didn't work so well with, though it has been reported the Safariland Species, which will be here in a couple of days, is a very good choice for a holster for this gun. I know the Tenacores fit it, so if the Safariland doesn't work out, I'm just going to order a Tenacore Sertum 3 for this gun, and I'm going to have a pretty dope carry package all the way around. This is still my favorite everyday carry gun. I don't think that this pistol will ever change that. However, this is a very nice, very good choice. If you're more into the Glock side of firearms than you are the Smith side, then the Shadow Systems CR920XP may be the gun for you. If you want more features than what you get on a standard G48, this is probably the gun for you. So, you don't have to add a magwell to get a full grip on the gun. 15 round, 10 round. Single stack, 1.5 stack in the same overall width. Glock sights, some people like them, some people hate them. I don't have a problem with them. Steel sights, much better. Tritium, much better. One of my biggest complaints is how slippery the Glock 48 slide is, especially when your hands are wet. This has awesome serrations. I don't care where you grab this. You're not slipping. You're not slipping. Okay? Whether you press check it from the front, you press check it from the back. It even has serrations so you can come over the top if you really want to. However you like to run your gun, you will find this is a better choice overall. Even if you're one of these guys, you can do that too. In a self-defense situation, you have more options. But is it really better than a G48? I can tell you that it has a tighter lockup, and that's one of the biggest selling points. This is a very tight tolerance pistol. So when you first take it to the range, you got to run the heaviest rounds, the most potent 124 grains that you can find. I strongly recommend that you grab NATO spec load. Run 200 rounds of that through this gun, clean it, and then pretty much run whatever you want. After the first magazine, I ran a whole magazine of powder puff reloads through this gun, and it ran flawlessly. Did not skip a beat. I love my G48. This is a very inexpensive firearm compared to that. That is roughly double the price of this. But if you're to send it out to get stippled and you're to send it out to get machined for an optic, you don't have a light rail, which again, I could care less about. A simple point and click firearm. This maintains all of that right out of the box. Does this do anything better than this? Yes. This is actually a more accurate gun, and I will stand on that hill because I have seen it myself, I've witnessed it myself, and I've had people shoot them back to back. And when I get to my final 1,000 rounds, I'm going to fire this without the compensator. I'm going to fire it with the compensator. And I'm going to bring OG and show you guys the accuracy difference at 10 yards, which is a perfectly acceptable carry gun distance. And I will show you the difference shooting fast. I'll show you the difference shooting slow. And I'll even try to hit some of the 25-yard steel targets as well while I'm out there. I prefer the trigger on this, even if it is a little heavier out of the box than the G48, simply because of how positive it is. Okay. Much longer reset. Although it is a slightly lighter trigger pull. I can't tell you how many rounds I fired through this gun. I fired thousands of rounds through this gun. And I will still stand on my business that this is my #1 recommendation for new shooters. If you've never owned a gun in your life and you want a concealed carry gun and you want a good basis to start, this is a good place to start. This is one of the best places to start because 10 round capacity, you can buy the Shield Arms magazines if you so desire, or you can buy the Palmetto State Armory magazines if you so desire, and you can start here. Once you know what you want out of a gun, this is a very good choice. If I were a brand new shooter and I had these two sitting in front of me, I'll make it interesting. If I had these 3 guns sitting in front of me, I would direct you to the Shield Plus over these 2. But if Glock ecosystem is your thing and you had to choose between these 2 and you wanted all the bells and whistles, I would direct you to the Shadow. And if all you wanted was your first firearm and your first carry gun, I would direct you to the G48. This is actually a slightly lighter recoil spring than the Shadow, although the Shadow is a far smoother shooting gun. This is hard to argue with. This is a great first firearm for anybody. This is for the person who knows what they want. So if you're a first-time gun owner, I mean, yeah, if you've got the extra cash, buy this. But I would recommend this as your second pistol, not your first. Because you can buy this and 2,000 rounds of ammo for the same price that you can buy that for, and get you a holster. And 1,000 rounds of ammo. I'm Byron. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Once again, this is awesome. If these 3 were, if I had to choose one of these 3, I would choose the Shield. But honestly, there's not a bad choice on this table. There really isn't a bad choice on this table. Byron, y'all have a great rest of your day. What's up, everybody? Byron here, and I'm trying to stay monetized. I'm excited. And I very rarely get excited about pistols. So in the last couple of weeks, I have had more reviews than I've ever historically had the opportunity to do on my channel, and it has been a great personal challenge. So it started with the M&P 2.0 carry,